Hi there, it's Tim here from Signage Live. Welcome to Digital Signage Explored. This one is slightly more unusual. We're not in the usual office space. We're actually over at Lendlease at Paddington. With me, we have Andy Crickett and we have John from Signage Live, Andy Crickett being from Lendlease. Thank you very much for joining us.
No problem at all.
John, we've been here. We've just finished doing a case study just to walk through some of the experience. Andy, so much. Thank you for your time to take us through everything. We've talked about a lot, especially some more of the kind of fringe stuff. So obviously the case study, I think, is a really nice touch when it comes to explaining on a high level what you've done, but sitting down, having a conversation tends to lead to a little bit more interesting fact-finding and just discovering what you've done. And you guys have done a lot outside of the general pocket of what Signage Live is used for. One of them being web triggers, which we demonstrated, and you've got live TV, you've got emergency alerts and some other things on there. Is there anything that we haven't seen today that you're playing around with, or just anything like a lab somewhere that you're testing out?
No. There you go.
And there we go. So thank you very much for
joining. That's the end
joining.
of the conversation. So I was just trying to think. I don't think there's anything in particular we're looking at. What we want to do is investigate some of these other features that you've mentioned to us, which was the
Real-time events.
Like, what's it called?
RTEs, real-time events.
Real-time events, yeah. So, we touched on it earlier, but yeah, that's got some real interest for us.
Yeah.
And we'd like to investigate that. And obviously, do a bit more work with the web triggers, make that more accessible for people around the organisation so they can actually have that on their screens on sites.
Yeah.
And obviously, the consultation, you're going to work with us on the enterprise side, that help facilitate that. So that's really where we need to be, is actually sort of like pushing the boundaries on the stuff that we're already using.
Yeah.
Because actually, we've done quite a lot, as you said, outside of what you'd normally use signage for. As you see, as you come into the office, how it's there, how it's presented.
Yeah.
Web triggers, where we're using them more, like when we've got people walking into the office as well. So if we've got people that are coming in to visit, we can say, welcome to Lendlease. It's pop up on the screen. It's already pre-programmed by pushing a button, so you don't have to time it.
I think that was interesting seeing this, because this place is fantastic, like amazing in terms of the technology we've seen, because John and I have been to a few different places now, and there's different levels of installation. You can have some which is, it is just out of the box, a screen with some playlists. Maybe they dabble with layout designs and QR codes, but in the way that this space is kind of integrated digital signage, it feels like part of the building, part of the actual, like, the planning. And with the web triggers as well, in the way that you've built that, I do like that it's all for the ease of the use of the staff to be able to go, we don't need to pre-plan as much. We can be a bit more reactive as to things are going on. Is that kind of what the intention was?
Yeah, and also, again, some of the other capabilities that we've spoken about that potentially could come along in the future is the ability to have information in one location.
Yeah.
That can be shown on digital signage, and it's pulling it from other feeds.
Yeah.
So there's less work for people to do.
Yeah. Well, we talked about
that a little
potential
while
like
ago.
AI developments and things like that that are coming down the
That would be
pipeline.
a lot of great interest, because that lessens the amount of administration that people have to do on multiple platforms. You do it once in a Microsoft environment, and it will feed across into digital signage as a single feed. That would be of real interest.
What I like about coming down to places like this is because from your perspective, you're kind of at the forefront of the technology and understanding it and kind of playing around with what is not a fringe tool, but it's just not an everyday used tool. And then we've also spoken to Sarah, for example, who really is at the kind of coalface of managing that content and experiencing that, and the feedback's been, what do you think, John, just in terms of there's different levels of experience that's needed depending on what they're using the platform for? Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I think from my point of view, I want to thank Andy, because really he's been driving the adoption of Signage Live internally here at Lendlease, and everybody's role in the project is different, right? Everybody's a different stakeholder. So Andy's very much driving it forward from a technical point of view. And a big part of what's come out of today's session is really about improving workflow and what I would call content automation. And that improves everybody's experience. So Sarah is logging in sometimes daily, more often weekly, and is managing the content. So what's key to Sarah is being able to log in remotely and have that access. And Andy's responsible for the implementation of those workflows. So using the web triggers is fantastic. And you can see the impact of that, whether it be emergency messaging or the live TV element, across the whole of this floor in this building. So hopefully that's kind of my takeaway.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think Andy, just a question from your perspective. Obviously, you're always looking at the most kind of high-level tech. High-level tech's the wrong word, but what you can pull out of the platform as the most without having to install new switches. I know we've talked about a few times in terms of you had two options. In fact, actually, could we delve into that? Because you mentioned that obviously at some point you were at a crossroads where you were going to look at installing switches. WebTriggers obviously overtook that.
Yeah.
What for you was the process of going, okay, we can go with option A or option B. What does it need to achieve? What are we kind of checking for? And then how do you go, okay, this does bridge that gap? What's your kind of checklist at that point?
I'll be completely honest. It was commercial. It's a commercial decision. That's the biggest fundamental in all this decision. We could run with hardware, and also when we're employing more hardware and looking at that, there's the green element.
Yeah.
Putting the equipment in, more energy, more devices to look after. More points of failure that could potentially come in, and maintenance costs for our integrator to come in and look after that equipment for us, as well as the DX team having to look after it. The DX team is our IT support team.
Right.
They've got to look at this another thing. And then with the Signage Live element, it's all wrapped in one platform. It's just another element of it, and it was simplistic.
So was the switches, was that just basically going to be a physical switch behind the screen that switches HDMI inputs? Is that?
Yeah, it's just going to, but it was more than that. It had to be integrated into the existing QSC system, which is the back end of all of the tech in here that runs all the sound and video integration. That led into not just hardware, that was programming, days of programming to integrate it into that platform. With the Signage Live side of things, it was available. It was part of the offering that's within there for WebTriggers. It was activated within 2 days and up and running. We could engineer the front end ourselves to actually put the WebTriggers on there on an iPad.
Yeah.
And it was the element of training was, this is how you do it, guys.
Yeah.
Use Signage Live, add a trigger, present it on the iPad, push a button, and it's done.
And anybody can use that.
Anyone can
of their
do. Anyone can
technical
use it.
abilities, right?
Is it
Skill
literally
set.
exactly right? It's a non-technical thing. Give it to the concierge team. What do we do here, Andy?
Press this button.
Push the button. That's it.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to employ any other people in from outside to do all that programming.
And all the time, of course, it's delivering efficient, improved workflows and more sustainable, greener signage, right?
Well, that's a very good. That is a very, very key point. One of the things that Lendlease is very strong on is our green credentials. We're working to all the COP agendas. And obviously we've got an agenda to strive to 25, which is to try and go completely carbon neutral by then. These types of technologies lead into that. It might not look like it, as you say, it's fringe technology, but it's there. It's cloud-based. There's less peripherals that need to go in there. And one of the strong things with Signage Live has always been great, turning devices off, the timing. Turn the TV off, it's gone into standby. All the devices go into standby. So that's a really good benefit of it as well.
No, that's really insightful. It's really, I think it's enlightening for John and I have done a couple of these different case studies, and we very rarely get to actually go and see some of the signage in place. And I think it's nice to go, like refreshing just to go and see, oh yeah, the thing that we talk about daily as how it should work is actually being implemented in exactly the way that we're discussing it. And it kind of adds a lot of validity to, we feel like we get a little bit more expertise.
Yeah. Amy said earlier that digital signage has been really well received within the organisation and the employees have been surveyed. One of the key topics in terms of the signage getting to the display is employee recognition and how do Lendlease celebrate those successes. And an example of that is on the displays. And, regardless of where you're sitting on this floor, within this building, there is relevant, informative and engaging signage to those people that are in front of the displays. And if it needs to be changed, get the tablet, hit the button on the trigger.
It's a great point, and I've seen it on many occasions on some of our construction sites as well. Recognition for the workforce, whether it be Lendlease or whether it be a third-party contractor that's working on there, it's up on the screens. And it's quick. Someone's been given an award, it's up there, it's out, it's visual around the whole campus. People can see it, it's happened.
And that's a great point because we're talking about multiple use cases within the same organisation. So today we're here and the success story is all around this kind of corporate setting, but construction sites is busy, hectic environments, lots of feet on the ground, and it's about getting those messages across in real time, and it's just second nature. The displays are there, and people can see that when they're entering, when they're there, and when they're leaving.
Well, it just shows the strength of the platform, that it's in this corporate environment, showing very high level, very high quality corporate information for that audience, but it can be used anywhere. It's on the construction sites, in our development sites. It's in our marketing suites as well. So we've got marketing suites at Elephant Park, and it's being used for property sales. So it's spread across multiple areas in the business.
I think it's definitely, it's what you make of it, which is why I think I like, because you kind of mentioned this before, and I'll cut this bit, it doesn't turn up if I'm not allowed to say it, but you've mentioned this is almost like a test bed of a lot of different features that you might want to pull forward to the future, the future, let's just say. And I think that's exactly it's such a great case study, because you guys have approached it in the most extremely right way possible, where some people will do a proof of concept and go, yeah, it works, and that's great. And that is the layout we tend to give people for success is get an idea of what you want to achieve, do a test, do a proof of concept, do a small version. Once you're happy with that, small release. Once you're happy with that, then the bigger release. You've gone the next step, which is okay, how much can we pull out of this platform to reduce cost, increase capabilities and functionality? And that's not a step everyone gets to.
No, and absolutely. Trying to use the capabilities that are actually built into the platform to do cost saving is very key. We don't want to buy more equipment, stop buying more equipment. What can we use within our portfolio that we've already got and really use it well to get really good outcomes? And Signagelive is one of those. It's in there, it's got lots of capabilities, lots of apps, and it helps us drive that agenda.
So what would be your one piece of advice to someone looking at doing this in your shoes, different company?
Yeah, so looking back, the history of implementing this it's not always been easy, and getting people to adopt the digital agenda is always hard. Moving away from a manual way of doing things with paper and putting a USB stick in the side of a TV. It works, but it needs lots of manual input. Now, the biggest thing you need to do is engagement with the business and get them to buy in. You need to show the benefits of what it can do, the cost savings to the business, and what it actually means to people. Actually see real information straight away. And the ability to update it quickly. If you have paper, you've got someone that's got to go and do it manually. It's got to be printed, it's got to be put up. With digital signage, you can do it there and then.
Did you run some cost analysis on that when you first started?
We did do some early days. Looking back at it now, it's more tangible now to do that.
Right.
Yeah, it was because everyone was still in the world of we print everything.
Yeah. But I
paper
think
on
the thing is,
desks.
what we experience is once someone sees one screen go up, everyone starts getting involved. The HR team goes, "Oh, could we just use that for?" And then the other teams, and then all of a sudden, it always expands.
I think as well, one of the key takeaways, joint takeaways from today, is that there's aspirations within Lendlease to roll out this solution at other sites. And so what we want to do is we want to drive adoption, but we want to showcase what Andy and the team have put together here so that that can be rolled out. And in order to do that, we need to collaborate and work together and show other stakeholders within the organisation what's been achieved here, and more importantly, how that continue to actually evolve. And we're only going to do that by talking about it, and for want of a better word, by showing it off really to other people. And that's what we're really trying to achieve, so that when Amy visits other sites and locations, this is the footprint as of today, and what can we do or continue to do into the future.
You agree?
Absolutely. And one of the things that I'll put this on myself as well, I'm very bad at actually writing down things. I can talk about it. I need to actually put it down into a format of presentation to the business and go, these are all the things that you can get out of doing digital signage using this platform. And these are the benefits.
Well, I think we
actually trying to articulate that is sometimes quite hard. You actually need to see it.
Yeah.
And with the company as it is at the moment, a lot of people flying through this office as we're rebuilding capabilities around other project sites. A lot of the people that manage those come through here because this is the centre of the universe for us. Basically, everyone comes through here, they see it here and go, oh, we want that. Can we get that? Or yeah, we can. What can it do?
It's it's obvious, but it's a very visual medium. It's like you can't explain someone the benefit of it, and they walk in and they see 4 or 5 screens all running in unison with different messages, and it's all on brand. And I know Amy put together some really cool internal stuff.
It's the same as everything. You've got TV, TV wasn't there originally. Then you go all the way through the years and generations to mobile phones, having digital platforms in front of you.
Yeah.
Visual aids, it's live, it's real. And that's really what's bringing it along as well. Everything's digital.
Yeah.
Everyone expects to see it in a digital format and work on it in a digital format.
Yeah.
It's becoming more
It's
automated.
it's to do with change of generation as well. Different people come into organisations, different ideas, university grads coming in, why not we doing that? We've seen this, want to do that. And people coming in from other companies going, they're doing this, why are we not doing
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So that all helps sell that digital agenda. You can't do it all yourself. It is down to listening to what people want, what their experiences are, and listen to the younger people coming in as well. You know,
Yeah.
they really do make a difference.
Fascinating. Well, I think that's we could honestly genuinely sit here and talk about every single feature and module that you've used, but we would be here for the next 2 or 3 hours. And we want to make sure that we give you some time to do some work today as well. If this video looks blown out, it's because there's absolutely no way I wasn't going to take the opportunity to get some of the London skyline in the background. If it isn't, then I'll just put some B-roll in. Andy, John, thank you so much for jumping on and having this conversation. Really appreciate it. If there's anything you need from us, just let us know. But again, just thank you very much for your time.
Right, thank you. No
Thanks,
problem.
Tim.
Pleasure.